Well, I too want, is that on? You get me? I want to thank you all for coming to share in our 60th wedding anniversary celebration. And I want to give a special thank you and tribute to our children, whom I will introduce later, for helping us put the celebration together. We could not have done it without them. And especially in the last minutes when I got kind of nervous and shaky, and then they said, you just go sit down and we'll take care of it. So I would like to share a little portion of how God has guided us in our life together. To begin with, Tony was born in Manitoba, and he grew up there. I was born in Saskatchewan, and I moved to BC when I was 9 years of age, and I grew up right here in Abbotsford. We lived on Clearbrook Road. It is only the good Lord who could have brought us together. When I was a teenager in Sunday school class, we were asked to find a verse that started with the same letter as our first name. So I chose Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. After Tony became a Christian, he attended Bible school in Winnipeg, where an invitation was given to come to BC to be a counselor at Burrard Inlet Bible Camp for the summer. His sister Kay already lived in Abbotsford, so he accepted the challenge. After arriving here, Tony met some guys who attended the Clearbrook Church, where I sang in the choir, and etc. In the latter part of summer, all the young adults, well, I want to interject something else in there. I had been introduced to Tony, but I didn't pay much attention, but I did notice his beautiful eyes. So in the latter part of summer, all the young adults from Clearbrook were invited to a wiener roast for one of the fellows who was going away to college. While we were there, I noticed Tony standing all alone, so I decided to go and say hello. I kind of felt sorry for this guy. Manitoba standing there all by himself. I didn't think that was quite fair. So we started talking, and we had so much in common, we just kept on sharing. And as the whole gang was walking home, all of a sudden we looked around and there was nobody else there. So he had no choice, he had to walk me home. Yeah. I was really impressed with his spiritual commitment. Several weeks later, his friend Bill asked what I was doing Sunday afternoon, and I answered, well, nothing special. Well, would I like to go for a drive? And I said, well, I thought you were dating my friend. Oh, he says, I'm not asking for myself. He says, I'm asking for Tony. He's too shy to ask him. So I agreed to go on the double date. And guess where we went? To Bridal Falls. That was our first date.
What a place to go.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of our romance. In September, Tony asked me to marry him, and I said yes. But now we had a bit of a challenge because we wanted to ask my parents for their blessing. But they didn't know Tony very well, and they weren't too sure about this guy from Manitoba. But we finally got them together, and then my dad asked us when we wanted to get married. And so we said, probably in the spring. So somebody asked why we got married in November. Now this is why, I'll tell you why. And so he said, well, if you wait for a year or more, he says, I'll put on a big celebration for you. Well, I didn't think he would be able to do that. And anyway, we weren't really interested. So we said, no, thank you. He said, well, then you might as well get married right away. And we said, hey, that's a great idea. So that's why we set our date for November 16th. And so after we were married, one of my brothers drove us to what was actually Coquitlam, where Tony was staying, and because it was right after the war, it was pretty difficult to get an apartment, so I just bunked in where Tony was staying for a while. And then for our honeymoon trip, we took the tram from New Westminster to Vancouver to return Tony's tuxedo. But the day before our wedding, when Tony came to Abbotsford, he said, I kind of have bad news for you. He said, I just got laid off. And I said, oh. Well, I said, you'll find something else, but just don't tell my dad, we don't want to. So that's what happened. And then the day after the wedding, we drove to Coquitlam. And then after several months, we found a small suite to rent in New Westminster.
That's right.
And our 4 children were born while we lived in New Westminster, and I would like to introduce them to you. Warren. Stand up, Warren. And they are expectant grandparents, Jeanette and Brian, and Andrea and Daniel. That's their
Better
family.
stand
And Mark-
up, we can't see.
And Mark is away at college in Toronto. And then next, we have Ken. Where is Ken and Donna? Actually, Ken is the oldest, I should have introduced him. And they live in Victoria.